It's the year 2001, and the final game of the high school basketball championship is happening right now. Everyone's eyes are on Serim High School's best player, Hong Dae-young. He's not just playing to help his team win, he also wants to show the college scouts watching him that he's ready for the next big step. The pressure is heavy on his shoulders, but Dae-young knows this moment could change everything for him. At first, Dae-young felt confident about impressing the scouts. But as the pressure grew, his focus slipped, and he completely missed an easy free throw. Just before the game began, his girlfriend, Jung Da-jung, had quietly come looking upset. Dae-young refused to start playing until she told him what was wrong. The look on his face showed that whatever she said had hit him hard. During the game, Dae-young lost control of the ball and then suddenly ran out. He caught up with Da-jung as she was walking home. She broke down in tears, knowing he had just ruined his chance at a scholarship from a top university. But Dae-young held her close and told her this was his choice, that his future was with her and their baby, no matter what. In a voiceover, Dae-young tells us, "If our story had ended here, like the closing scene of a movie, my life would have been a happy ending. But real life is made up of many unfinished stories. The sudden misfortunes don't even surprise me anymore." And just like that, life goes on. 18 years later, Dae-young wakes up at his best friend Go Duk-jin's house. Almost immediately, memories flood back, angry fights with Da-jung that left him feeling drained. Duk-jin and Dae-young have been best friends since high school. Duk-jin lives in a huge house that looks like a giant playroom because he's insanely rich. Meanwhile, Da-jung meets her best friend Chu Ae-rin for coffee. Ae-rin guesses Da-jung is leaving Dae-young because he's let himself go and stopped caring about his looks. But Da-jung shakes her head, that's not the reason. We flash back to a sleepless night, with Da-jung awake while Dae-young snores loudly beside her. She tells Ae-rin she just can't live with him anymore. Back at Duk-jin's place, Dae-young teases him for being childish. Duk-jin fires back, saying he knows why Dae-young is getting divorced, because he's devastatingly old. Dae-young remembers that night too, when Da-jung almost smothered him with a pillow in frustration. He protests that he's done nothing wrong, so Duk-jin jokes maybe Da-jung is having an affair. Today is a big day for Dae-young. He's sure he's about to get a major promotion at work, and he believes that once he does, Da-jung will change her mind about the divorce. On his way to work, he notices a large ad on the JBC building. It's for a blind recruitment program where they plan to hire a news anchor based only on talent, no matter their age, education, or experience. Dae-young sneers, thinking the company is just being lazy. What he doesn't know is that Da-jung has actually applied for the job. She tells Ae-rin that becoming a news anchor has always been her dream, but now that she's getting closer to 40, her chances feel smaller than ever. Dae-young works as an appliance repairman, and today his nerves make him so desperate for that promotion that he lets customers treat him badly. He endures bossy attitudes, yelling, and even visits an apartment packed with garbage, but the tenant complains about the smell coming from Dae-young's socks. His last call is at an older man's home. From the many books lining the shelves, it's clear the man is well educated. On the desk, brochures ask, "Do you want to be young again?" Dae-young mutters under his breath that of course he does. The client asks Dae-young to fix an old radio television. Even though it's not something he usually repairs, Dae-young stays to work on it. The client's kindness makes him open up, and he admits he wishes fixing his life was this simple. The man offers to fix it for him and pours him a cup of tea. Daeyoung drinks it, then says with a small smile that maybe he should try fixing things himself. At one house, Daeyoung watches with a heavy heart as a happy family shares a meal together. He calls his twins and invites them to lunch, but neither seems very interested in spending time with their dad. His daughter, Hongxia, spends the entire meal glued to her phone, while his son, Hong Shivu, quietly picks at his food without much energy. Xia complains that she wants a nose job, so Daeyoung tells her there are three kinds of people: those who do really well, those who do well, and those who just do, and she should focus on her studies, not her looks. He asks Shivu why he's lost interest in basketball lately, but Shivu just mumbles that he doesn't like it anymore. Daeyoung tries to reassure them both that once he gets his promotion, he and their mom won't get divorced. Xia tells him about a dream she had about fire, saying it's a good sign. Then, with a sly grin, she offers to sell the dream to him for $50. Just then, her friend Jeon Bobe arrives. Daeyoung can't help teasing Xia again, this time about wearing too much makeup. Xia quickly runs off with Bobe, leaving Daeyoung alone with quiet, distant Shivu. Daeyoung tells Shivu to be kind to their mom because she's probably going through a tough time. Cut to Dajung, happily chair dancing and singing as she gets ready for work. She even performs a full dance routine, with backup dancers, to Solo by Blackpink's Jennie at her studio, full of energy and hope. But her boss quickly fires her, saying she's just a mom and not good enough. Dajung snaps back that the real reason is because she called him out for groping a young employee at the last staff dinner. Though it doesn't get her job back, it feels satisfying to see her stand up to him. Later, Daeyoung's boss calls everyone together to announce the promotion, something that only happens once every 5 years. He asks Daeyoung to stand up, but then waves him aside and gives the promotion to his nephew instead. To make things worse, Daeyoung is told he's being transferred to the Busan office. At the staff dinner that night, coworkers openly complain about the obvious nepotism. Daeyoung confronts his boss, asking why he didn't get the promotion he was promised. The boss coldly replies that the nephew graduated from a university, while Daeyoung only finished high school. Daeyoung asks his boss if the transfer to Busan can be cancelled, knowing that a move would probably ruin his marriage since he's going through a divorce. But his boss refuses sharply, snapping that Daeyoung should have spent more time at staff dinners and building connections. Daeyoung fires back, saying he's endured abuse from customers and even paid for repairs out of his own pocket for 10 years. He demands to know why he's being treated so unfairly. His boss blames Daeyoung's impulsive nature for the chaos in his life. As Daeyoung turns to leave, his boss sneers, "No wonder you ended up with an accidental baby when you were young." Clenching his teeth, Daeyoung holds himself back, for the sake of his family. But when his boss insults his wife and kids, saying, "Family? How pathetic for a woman and child to depend on a man like you." Their failures, Daeyoung finally loses control. He lets out a raw scream, shouts that he quits, and headbutts his boss right in the face. Later, Daeyoung waits outside their house when Dajung comes home. She guesses he didn't get the promotion. She tells him it doesn't matter and reminds him about their settlement meeting tomorrow. When he says he doesn't want a divorce, she goes inside without saying a word. Dajung stands by the mantel, staring at old family photos. She remembers when the twins were little and their family was happy. Outside, Dayoung stays for a long time, lost in those same memories. When Dajang finally decides to come outside and talk to him, he's already gone. Feeling nostalgic and lost, Dayoung ends up at his old high school. He pauses by the trophy case and looks at his picture. Then he catches his own reflection and wonders silently what happened to the person he used to be. He grabs a ball, and for a brief moment, he feels like his old self again. Once, he asked Dajang to grant him a wish if he made a basket from the center line. As he threw the ball, he shouted, "Jung Dajang, go out with me." They both watched as the ball flew perfectly through the hoop. Now, he tries shot after shot, but can't make that perfect basket anymore. Finally, he bows his head over the last ball and makes a wish. As he shoots, he whispers, "Hong Dayoung, let's go back." The ball arcs through the air, lightning flashes, and the power suddenly goes out. He never sees if the shot went in. The groundskeeper soon kicks him out, so Dayoung wanders to a convenience store for cup ramyun and a beer. When he reaches the counter, the clerk asks to see his ID. To his shock, it's his own daughter working behind the counter. Dayoung starts yelling at Xia, telling her she should be studying instead of working. But Xia looks at him confused and asks, "Who are you?" He has no idea that he no longer looks like himself. He's somehow back in his younger, 18-year-old body. He makes a huge scene, furious that Xia even has a job. His anger grows when she acts like she doesn't recognize him at all. Finally, he catches his reflection in the window and completely freaks out. As he runs outside, Xia locks the doors behind him. A customer calls the police. Dayoung slaps himself, trying to wake up, but realizes this isn't a dream. He growls at Xia, "I'll be back once I fix this whole face situation." He heads over to Dukjin's house, but Dukjin immediately assumes he's an intruder. He yells out, "Dayoung," and Dayoung replies, "What?" Dukjin grabs a gun from the wall. Dayoung snaps, "I know that's a toy." But Dukjin just grins and starts shooting, saying, "I tuned it up in case a day like this ever happened." Dukjin chases Dayoung all over the house with a bunch of toy guns in a hilariously childish battle. Dayoung tries to block Dukjin's shots using his favorite anime character Pillow as a shield. But Dukjin quickly grabs a replica Thor's hammer, forcing Dayoung to defend himself with Captain America's shield. Dukjin finally manages to knock Dayoung unconscious for a moment. When he gets a good look at him, he recognizes the younger Dayoung from their high school days. His guesses about what happened, vampires, experiments, are straight out of comic books. But Dayoung insists the only thing he did was shoot some hoops at school. They go back to the school gym, and Dayoung tells Dukjin about the wish he made to go back. He admits he doesn't even know if the ball went in because the power went out just as he took the shot. By go back, he says, he only meant going home. But Dukjin believes getting a younger body is way better. Dukjin calls this a divine gift and asks Dayoung what his new dream is, now that he's young enough to have one again. Dayoung thinks for a moment and remembers a basketball game in 2000 where he was named MVP Most Valuable Player. Then, with a hopeful smile, he asks Dukjin to be his dad. The next day, while Dajang waits in court for Dayoung to show up, he's getting a fresh haircut and a new wardrobe. He eventually texts Dajang that something came up, but she's too excited to be upset. She just landed an interview for the JBC job. Daeyoung waits outside his house wearing a mask, expecting Dajung to be angry when she gets home. Instead, he sees her skipping happily as she talks on the phone with Aerin. Seeing her joy, he quietly promises himself that if she can live her own life like this, then he will live his too. Dukjin has a new identity made for Daeyoung, and they go to the school to enroll him all over again. At a meeting with his new homeroom teacher, Teacher OK, Dukjin immediately falls head over heels when he sees her. There's some awkwardness as Daeyoung introduces himself as Go Wooyoung. Dukjin hogs the conversation, trying to impress Teacher OK, so Daeyoung finally cuts in to say he's been homeschooled but now wants to meet kids his own age. Teacher OK warmly welcomes him to the school, and Daeyoung has to literally drag Dukjin away before he overwhelms the teacher with an attack hug. Dajung is on the bus with Shivu, heading to her final interview at JBC. She complains that Shivu has been cold to her lately. Xia's friend Bobe is on the same bus and scolds a portly man for not giving up his seat to a pregnant woman. Dajung watches, impressed, as a young man sarcastically mocks the man for looking pregnant enough to deserve the seat, shamming him into standing up. Dajung can't see the young man's face clearly, but something about him feels familiar. He gets off at the same stop as Shivu and Bobe, so Dajung never realizes it's actually Daeyoung in his younger body. It's Daeyoung's first day at his new school. When he enters the classroom, all the girls, and some boys, are smitten by his handsome face. Xia is sleeping on her desk, and when Bobe wakes her to see the new, hot thing, she recognizes the crazy guy from the convenience store and realizes they're in the same class. Daeyoung hides his surprise but can't help shouting, "Wow, you've grown so much," when he spots Seo Jiho, an old elementary school friend of Xia's. Later, during history class, Daeyoung's phone rings. It's Dajung. He casually leaves the classroom without asking. He lies that he's on a work trip in Busan. Dajung warns him he must show up for their next custody settlement meeting, or she'll assume he's giving up all rights to the kids. Daeyoung yells that she can't do that. She snaps back that he never cared for the kids before. Glancing over at Xia sleeping at her desk, Daeyoung quietly says, "You might not see it, but I'm closer to the kids than you'll ever know." Daeyoung wanders to the restroom, and suddenly he hears a knock from inside a locked stall. A voice asks to be let out. He opens the door and is shocked to find Shivu inside. Could his son be so quiet because he's being bullied at school? Worried, Daeyoung shouts, "Who did this to you?" But Shivu just mutters that they don't even know each other. Daeyoung introduces himself as Wooyoung. Shivu looks surprised to hear that Dukjin, his dad's friend, has a son. Before leaving, Shivu warns Daeyoung not to let anyone know he helped him, or he'll be targeted too. Daeyoung's heart breaks a little more. At lunch, Daeyoung spots Shivu eating alone and joins him. He asks why the other kids are bullying him, but Shivu tells him to mind his own business. Then fear flashes across Shivu's face as four tough-looking boys enter the lunchroom. The leader, Gujasag, sneers at Shivu for having a friend. He bounces his basketball off Shivu's head and starts to walk away. Shivu cringes, but Daeyoung jumps up and yells, "Hey!" He orders Jasak to come back. With a cruel grin, Jasak throws the ball aggressively at Daeyoung. Instead of ducking, Daeyoung catches the ball with one hand. When Jasak demands it back, Daeyoung feints as if to hit him with it, causing Jasak to shrink back in embarrassment, right in front of the whole school. Dayang looks him calmly in the eye and says, "You need to be taught a lesson." Additional scene. In the fall of 2001, Dayang stood helpless outside Dajang's house, overhearing her mother telling Dajang not to ruin her life, to get an abortion. Dajang's voice was trembling as she replied, "How can I get rid of them when they're alive? I'm going to have my babies." Later, Dayang hesitantly asked Dajang if they should give up the babies. She told him gently but firmly that if it was too hard for him, he should go live his own life, but she could feel their babies growing inside her. Dayang wandered the streets late into the night, thinking about his father's words. He could ruin his own life, but he shouldn't ruin Dajang's. Suddenly, he broke into a run and didn't stop until he reached the doctor's office where Dajang was having her first ultrasound. He found her crying. The doctor couldn't find their baby's heartbeats. Seeing the two tiny shapes on the screen, Dayang sobbed, "Daddy is so sorry. I'm sorry." Then, a faint pair of heartbeats echoed from the machine. The doctor smiled and said the babies must have heard his voice. As young Dayang and Dajang cried in relief, adult Dayang's voiceover reflects, life always weighs more on what truly matters. Even when it forced us to give up so much, nothing was more important than having these babies. That's how we became their parents.